Graduands, guests and colleagues, my name is Edward Joyner and I am delighted to welcome you to graduation. I have a few announcements to make before we begin so that you can relax and enjoy the ceremony. Graduands, at the appropriate time you will be invited by the stewards to stand and to make your way to the foot of the stairs, ready to head up the stairs and across the stage. All very straightforward. There are two key things which make for a seamless ceremony. Firstly, as soon as the person ahead of you begins to cross the stage, please make sure you make your way up the stairs. Please don't wait until they have passed across the stage before you reach the top of the stairs. Secondly, don't let excitement and pride overwhelm you so much that you forget to pick up your degree parchment after you've crossed the stage. If you do, don't worry, you will have still graduated. But don't try to go back because you will collide with someone coming the other way. Instead, please visit the graduation information desk in the Spring Lane building 30 minutes after the ceremony to collect your parchment. At the end of the ceremony, graduates are asked to process out of the hall directed by the stewards. Family and friends, the stewards will show you the exits once the graduates have left the hall. If the fire alarm should sound at any point, please remain in your seats. Instructions will be given and we will escort you to the nearest exit. As graduates, you join an international community of over 123,000 York alumni in 183 countries. The York Alumni Association organises many events, networks and services designed to help you make connections with other alumni across the world and boost your career prospects. Please visit the Alumni Association stand and photo booth in the Spring Lane building, where you can pick up your graduation gift to welcome you to the Alumni Association. As you get your first job or take up further study or training, please remember to keep us in touch with what you're doing. Understanding the career paths that you take will help us provide the right support for current students and make sure we offer graduates like you relevant information and opportunities. Finally, please turn off your mobile phones, and will you all now please stand?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the University of York. I declare this congregation open for the conferment of awards. Please be seated. So let me start, as Chancellor of this great university, to welcome you on behalf of the whole of the university to this afternoon's ceremony, particularly, of course, to those who are sitting in the central aisles of the hall, but also for friends, family, relations, and supporters who I know have come here today from not just across Yorkshire or across Britain or across Europe, but from all across the world, because these events have two truly important signifiers. The first, this is actually a formal ceremony. This is a formal ceremony through which, by some magical alchemy that's vested in me as Chancellor, for each of the graduands who comes up onto the podium, and by the way, who successfully navigates across the podium, after shaking my hand, they become graduates of the University of York. And that is a formal and serious event. But actually, the second purpose of this is celebration. And this is why we're all here. This is here, it's to celebrate the achievements of today's graduates and to share with them in their pleasure of graduating from this university. We will today be conferring degrees in different ways. The normal traditional hierarchy of degrees of universities ranges from diplomas, the bachelor's degree, which comes from the Latin of baccalaureus, the master's degree from the Latin of magistri or master, and of course the doctoral degree, which comes from the Latin of docere, which is to teach, and the doctoral degree is the ultimate qualification that universities can confer. We do it, by the way, in different ways. The most common doctorate degree is the doctorate of philosophy. Of course, it's not a doctorate in philosophy. Philosophy as a sort of cognate area of academic study is not what this doctorate reflects. This doctorate reflects philosophy in its ancient Latin sense, which is philo, love of, and sophos, wisdom. So the doctor of philosophy in this sense is a doctor of the love of wisdom, somebody who has spent at least 3 years full-time focusing in on a highly specific area of research and contributing original thoughts to that area of study. And that is an extraordinary achievement. But universities also confer even higher doctorates. And the so-called higher doctorates are, for example, a doctor of science or a doctor of literature or a doctor of laws. And quite commonly, we confer those degrees on people honoris causa, by which I mean they're honorary degrees. They're degrees which reflect not years of working in the laboratories or libraries of this university, but years driving science or scholarship or some other amazing human activity at the very highest levels. And this afternoon, I will have the honor and privilege on behalf of the university to confer honorary doctorates on Professor Helen Blau and Professor David Lawrence Sachs. Those events will take place during the course of today's proceedings. But you may ask why it is that I talk about the origin of these degrees in terms of their ancient Latin. Why it is that our graduands are sitting here today in monastic outfits which would not have looked out of place in the 16th century. Indeed, why it is across the world that people are holding graduation ceremonies wearing pretty much these robes, pretty much these hats, these berets, these squares. And I would say that for me, it reflects something deeply reassuring about the nature of universities as enduring institutions. Institutions that are there not for the short term, not for huge variations, but are there for the long term. Institutions that grapple with the short term, institutions that do research that transforms the short term and the medium term, but institutions whose vision is long term and enduring and stable. The great universities of this world long predate the great parliaments and great rules of governance of this world, and may well outlast them as well. So, as we look today at a world of growing complexity and growing uncertainty, so it is that this is a reassuring proposition that universities are there for the long term. But what is it that the long term will be characterized by that the most recent short term has not. I would suggest that we are in the throes or on the brink of an extraordinary revolutionary time, by which I don't mean politically, but I mean in the very disciplines that are represented here today and in the other disciplines that wrap around you. I mean, for example, that in the first industrial revolution, mankind harnessed the power of water and steam to drive production. In the second industrial revolution, mankind harnessed the power of electricity to enable mass production. In the third round, it was IT and computing to automate production. And in the fourth round, and I think it is distinctly a fourth round that we're going through now, we're looking at a transformation particularly around data, but also around the softening of the disciplinary barriers between those areas that we specialize in universities, in which data, physics and chemistry and biology all start to merge in an interdisciplinary way and provide us with completely new insights as to the future. We know, of course, that artificial intelligence, which I think is more accurately described as augmented intelligence, because of the limited extent to which it can yet model the human brain, but that is starting to develop more rapidly, will start to take away existing employment, particularly in the professional middle classes. Indeed, the more accurately your job can be defined, the greater the chance is that it will be replaced in due course by a machine. So the critical thing for all of us, I think, is to understand what's the medium to long-term outcome of all of this? Is it to be that we will see a reversal of the impact of globalization, which over the last 3 decades has brought up the living standards of an enormous part of the world's population, while stagnating the incomes of the middle class in the US and in Europe? But will we see a reversal of that? Is the way in which artificial intelligence and these new technologies can be captured by the captains of industry going to lead to greater inequalities in our society and a greater fracturing of our political and regulatory models? Or is it going to lead, which it must do, with the intelligence of new graduates coming into a labour market, to a situation in which new jobs are created, new models of intelligence are developed, and those functions that machines can never do continue to be done by human beings? In my other role, which is as the chairman of NHS England, I already see the huge impact of automation and the complete transformation that lies ahead of us potentially in healthcare. The use of data, the use of genomics, the use of analytics, the use of artificial intelligence, the ability to start to be able to diagnose disease when it's pre-symptomatic, and the ability to intervene perhaps with pre-symptomatic cancers, rather than, as is the case of every healthcare system in the world, focusing almost always on the consequences of ill health and on the damage that this does to a population. Imagine the challenge of the future of harnessing these technologies in a way that allows us to prevent the causes of ill health in the future and to promote a healthy, prosperous and able population, both in terms of its physical and mental health. But that is but one instance of the world which we all are looking forward into. So not everybody who goes into that world will have the advantage of a degree from the University of York. So today is a very special opportunity for that to occur. But it does call in mind the story of the young man who had been contracted by a large company to become a management trainee. And he turned up to work on the first day. He met the chief executive, who said, "Delighted to have you on board. Let me outline to you your first job. It's here. Take this broom and go and sweep out the foyer." And the young man said, "But no, I'm sorry, I'm a graduate. There's obviously some mistake." And the CEO said, "Well, I'm so sorry, I'd forgotten that. Look, please, give me the broom and I'll show you how it works." He did not have the benefit of a degree from the University of York. So, as they say, we got to get on and graduate these folks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the graduation ceremony.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Biology. For research in the genomic islands of Neisseria meningitidis, Adrian Chu. For research in impact of root fungi and silicon on plant nutrition, Rosemary Erin Haskell. For research in identifying novel lignocellulosic processing enzymes from Cellulomonas fimi, Nurashikan Isan. For research in silicon uptake and deposition and Festuca arundinacea, Emma McLarnon. For research in improving nutrient use efficiency in rice, Nahed Mohammed. For research in the feasibility of using biodiverse hay for energy, Linda Sainty. For research in climate and rain-fed rice cultivation in India, Kuntal Singh. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Combating Infectious Disease, Computational Approaches in Translational Science. For research in Sociality and Evolution of Antibiotic Resistance, Michael Bottery. For research in the intracellular survival of chlamydia, Hayley Clissold. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Mechanistic Biology, for research in structural analysis of an opium poppy protein, Mark Cadbury. For research in bacterial transport systems for plant sugars, Konstantinos Drusiotis. For research in increasing the potassium use efficiency of crops, Thomas Hartley. For research in gene discovery in plant-fungal symbioses, Thomas Irving. For research in mechanotransduction in muscle disease, Elliot Yokel. For the degree of Master of Science by Research in Biology, Maria Agapiou. Emily Fotopoulou. Elisa Redavida. Jennifer Wright. For the degree of Master of Biology in Biology, Joseph Blaney. Emily Bourne. Sarah Broyd. Alexandra Burkitt. Jennifer Carter. Ruby Crisp. Matthew Kothup. Grania Daly. Michael Elsey. Rafe Hunter Hallett. Rosanna Holland. Kate Hutchinson. Have I gone? Alexander Kite. Shannon Massey. Ben McCarthy. Jordana Morish. Catherine Payne. Eleanor Roche. Abigail Robotham. Charlotte Saw. Francesca Seabrook. Thomas Stevens. Anya Stranger. Jamie Walsh. Christian Westrip. Grace Whitehouse. William Wright. For the degree of Master of Biology in Biology with a year in industry, Devon Simpkins. Eleanor Snell. Samuel Witham. For the degree of Master of Biology in Genetics, Heidi Denton. Rathika Kataria. Aldevinas Chrysopis. Jordan Svetkov. For the degree of Master of Biology in Molecular Cell Biology, Giulietta O'Flaherty. Christopher Boelaps. Apologies, for the degree of Master of Biomedical Science in Biomedical Sciences, Laura Chaffee. Hannah Lord. Kate Manane. Sophie Shires. Jessica Jane Stonehouse. Virginia Todorova. Emma Warnance. For the degree of Master of Biochemistry in Biochemistry, Lawrence Carroll. Angel Chan. Holly Kleins. Isabel Darlington. Paulina Dubiel. Leona Fields. James Geary. William Jones. Ailey Mackenzie. Lucy McLaughlin. Maria Nikolova. Vincentiu Andrei Pitic. Tyler Shaw. Dominic Stevenson. Samuel Wilson. For the degree of Master of Biochemistry in Biochemistry with a year in Industry, Alice Branken. Catherine Russell. Robert Stewart. Ina Zeal. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry, Chelsea Ashcroft. Poppy Blagrove. Madeline Chapman. Harry Edwards. Daniel Groom. Theodore Hewitt. Scott Hughes. Ella Hutchison. Udila Kasim. Alexandra Mauricio Rizzo. Rebecca Rose. James Whitaker. Jacob Louis Ray Kerr. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry with a year in Europe, Sian Wilson. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry with a year in Industry, Jessamine Bryars. Tom Casey. Vanessa Chan. Catherine Davis. Tobias Fletcher. Angela Florin. Zara Frizzell. Sarah Harbach. Samuel Haysom. Rebecca Hull. Holly Kay. Samantha Lawrence. Rebecca Lees. Hamish McLean. Claire Pearson. Rebecca Riddle. Gareth Roberts. Georgina Smith. Elliot Thompson. Gabrielle Lee Turvey. Lauren Webster. Zoe Whiffen. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biology, Charlotte Barber. Emily Bone. Thomas Borrington. Mei Yan Chan. Isis Cohen Nicholson. Flora Courtney. Lucy Cross. Natasha Delacour. Amy Deselac. May Duke. Abigail Enston. Chloe Gale. Emma Gohan. Charles Green. Connor Griffiths. Connor Hiley. Stephanie Horsnell. Anna Nya Aya. Emily Jardine. Megan Jones. Alice Kwan. Dawn Lee. Eleanor Mason. James Myers. Jamie. Joseph Nicholson. Alistair Noon. Ruby Pickup. Jonathan Pinches. Georgia Priest. Caitlin Purdy. Sophie Raffin. Annie Richardson. Marta Rizziti. Catherine Salter. Jessica Shaw. Ashlyn Smith. Hannah Smith. Victoria Spears. Shelby Stevenson. Jack Tinsley. Melina Vaki. Chelsea Boller. Abby Walters. Emma Waterman. Daisy May Yeomans. Daniel Zahemski. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biology with a year in Europe, Danielle Feeney. Holly Marks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ensemble E Anonymy will perform Moondance by Van Morrison, arranged by George Clark, followed by Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel, arranged by Ellie Pybus.
Well, it's a marvelous night for a moon dance with the stars up above in your eyes. A fantabulous night to make romance neath the cover of October skies. And all the leaves on the trees are falling to the sound of the breezes that blow. And I'm trying to please to the calling of your heartstrings that play soft and low. And all the lights that seems to and all the sun of moon that seems to shine in your blush. Can I just have one more dance? Can I just make some more dance? Well, I want to make love to you tonight. I can't wait till the morning has come. And now I know now the time is just right. And straight into my arms you will run. And when you come, my heart will be waiting to make sure that you're never alone. There and then all my dreams will come true. There and then I will make you my own. Every time I touch you, you just I know how much you want me that you can hide. Can I just have some dance with you? My love, can I just make some more dance with you? My Can I just have one more moon dance with you, my love? When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them. I'm on your side. Times get rough, just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. When you're down and you're on the street, anything falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your garden. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind. I will ease your mind.
Chancellor, it is my great pleasure to present to you our honorary graduate, Helen Blau, Director of Stanford University School of Medicine's Baxter Laboratory for Stem Cell Biology. Helen's primary research area is regenerative medicine, and her work with stem cells has underpinned treatment of muscle damage due to disease, injury, and aging. Much of Helen's work can be considered as trailblazing. She pioneered the use of heterokaryons, cells with two separate nuclei, for use in regenerating muscle tissue, and has applied evolutionary lessons from newts and salamanders to identify human genes which prevent or slow the process of regeneration. This work has been of immense value in fostering the development of the fields of stem cell biology and regenerative medicine, and has brought about critical discoveries that continue to have enormous impact, particularly in the field of muscle regeneration. Helen's landmark papers have overturned prevailing ideas regarding cellular programming and thus directly led to the discovery of therapeutic strategies for the treatment of muscle wasting in disease and aging. Not only is Helen's work incredibly important to medical science, but it is also of immense educational value. Helen's seminal experiments are described as exemplars of cell and developmental biology research to our students in their first year, some of whom are graduating today. It is particularly gratifying to teach our students about Helen's experiments because we can and do tell the students that Helen was once one of them. This inspiring assertion is true. Helen earned a BA in biology from York in 1969, after which she moved to the United States, where she gained an MA and a PhD from Harvard University before being awarded a postdoctoral fellowship at the University of California, San Francisco. Following these many years of training, Helen joined Stanford University, where she holds the endowed chair in molecular pharmacology and is a director of the Baxter Laboratory for Stem Cell Biology. Outside of the lab, Helen has held a wide array of advisory positions, including serving on the Congressional Liaison Committee for Public Policy for the American Society of Cell Biology, as a member of the Council of the National Institutes on Aging, and as a member of the Board of Directors of the American Society of Gene Therapy and the Council of the Institutes of Medicine of the National Academy of Sciences. Her many awards and honours include the Senior Career Recognition Award of WICB of the American Society of Cell Biology, the FASEB Excellence in Science Award, an Honorary Doctorate from the University of Nijmegen, Holland, and a Nobel Forum Lecture at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm. Chancellor, for her pioneering work in the field of medical science, it is with great pleasure that I present to you Helen Blau for the degree of Doctor of the University honoris causa.
I am truly honored to speak to you today and to be the recipient of an honorary doctorate from my alma mater. I've studied the mechanisms that regulate cell fate since my days at York. I've concluded that we people are more like our component parts than we might think. As a cell biologist, I think of the cell as a metaphor for myself, from which I have learned a great deal. Lesson 1. Cells can change in remarkable ways. As an undergraduate at York, I read a paper by John Gurdon that shaped my career. In this work, he showed that the nucleus of an intestine cell, if transplanted into an enucleated oocyte, could give rise to an entire hopping frog. For this work, He was eventually knighted by the Queen and received a Nobel Prize. But at the time, this reprogramming feat was viewed as a frog phenomenon. Mammalian cells were considered terminally differentiated, irreversibly committed, and unable to change their fate. I wondered if this was really true and developed an experimental system to test it, non-dividing heterokaryons, which entailed fusing human, liver, skin, and connective tissue cells with an abundance of muscle cells to see if they could be changed. I showed that the muscle genes that were dormant in these cells could be reawakened. This excited the biology community, but the message to me went beyond cells. It served as a life lesson which I wish to impart to you. And that is that although you were born into a certain family and certain circumstances, and you were subjected to a certain microenvironment like a differentiated cell, you can grow beyond these limits and let your imagination and your energy drive the day. Lesson 2, people change in remarkable ways. You are lucky to, and luck dictates a lot of what happens in our lives, but even extraordinary luck can only take you so far. As Louis Pasteur said, chance favors the prepared mind. You are now well prepared to succeed, but you must allow yourself to be open to these serendipitous moments. The combination of preparation and luck is how Fleming realized that a fungus growing in the Petri dish was not a nuisance, but useful, and as a result, he discovered penicillin. Lesson 3, cells divide and multiply. As you may have noticed, so do people. Have a happy life outside of work. Enjoy your family and friends, and make time for them and pursue your hobbies. I have 2 children who bring me great joy and from whom I learn continuously. My son Dan is an architect, creating new spaces. My daughter Julia is a lawyer, championing human rights and attacking the opiate companies. Lesson 4, cells survive by changing. You should change too. Change your thinking, challenge dogma. Don't do the science that is la mode, that everyone is doing. It's okay if you don't know today what you will be, what exactly you will do with your life. I certainly had no idea at your stage at York that I would end up a faculty member at Stanford University running a research lab. Choose an environment that changes you. Get a position in a department that is not the one in which you trained. You will grow in unexpected ways. Broaden your scope. Become conversant in another field, in bioinformatics or bioengineering. Give back. Speak up. Advocate for science with your government and in your schools. Finally, I want to share my excitement for my field, regenerative medicine. As we age, our tissues and organs start to fail, and we have a need for rejuvenated body parts. Although still in early stages clinically, the prospects for this field are immense. For example, the stem cells that give rise to your blood can now be isolated and expanded to yield new blood for patients with cancers such as leukemia and lymphoma. We can reprogram your blood cells or your skin cells to function like pluripotent embryonic stem cells, and then reprogram them again to be cardiac cells. And that allows us to test and screen for drugs that can ameliorate genetic disorders leading to heart failure, or to generate cells that can replace the malfunctioning heart cells. A common complaint with aging is macular degeneration, the loss of vision, and we're now seeing progress in enlisting the stem cells to produce photoreceptors that are lost and restore sight. The aged are often affected by a loss of hearing, which is very debilitating. To combat this, we can now stimulate the stem cells of the hair follicles present within the ear that sense sound and enhance their function. In my own work, I'm addressing the problem of muscle atrophy, muscle wasting with aging. You probably know people who have carpal tunnel syndrome, the wasting of the thumb muscle that leads to an inability to use the computer or lift a fork and even pull up a zipper. And you probably know people who've had a hip replacement or knee replacement, and after disuse and inactivity, their muscles atrophy, they waste, they shrink due to this disuse. The lack of mobility can be crippling and demoralizing, such that mental demise often follows. Our approach, developed in my lab, entails the use of 2 drugs to restore the strength of atrophied muscles by rejuvenating the function of the stem cells dedicated to repairing and building the muscles. To end, I want to congratulate you. You are highly accomplished. You have come a long way to arrive at this day. Celebrate, and then find your passion, apply yourself, and make the most of the opportunities that being at York has afforded you as they have me. Thank you.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biology with a year in industry, Derek O. Charlotte Bigsby. Evelyn Farnham. Anna Forbes. Rebecca Harris. Oliver Hodgkiss. Georgina Milburn. Alexander Murphy. Bridget O'Boyle. Reese Phillips. Shonette Premchand Branca. Ryan Sanson. Eleanor Smith. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Sciences, Naomi Ashton. Rusiana Atanasova. Alice Berry. Sarah Campbell. Matthew Chapman. Emily Dawes. Edward Dupre. Meredith Edwards. Natasha Folkingham. Anna Gonzalez. Amy Gowenlock. Zoe Johnston. Michael Layton. Mirren Leeper. Yan Nok Lee. Jack Lightfoot. Chuknam Rachel Lowe. Siti Amalina O'Meary. Lucy Painter. Jessica Rohricht. Shida Rossman. Ellie Sanders. Hannah Stone. Charles Thacker. Francesca Vigilante. Chloe Warrener. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Sciences with a year in industry, Jonathan Ben. Sophia Payne Porter. Catherine Hanlon. Serena Melgrati. Paige Mortimer. Alexandra Nevison. Esme Nichols. Abigail Orr. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biotechnology and Microbiology, Samuel Addis. Oliver Billington. Zaman Matlasi. Asaraf Mazuki. Sarah Nubila Binti Zakaria. Jordan Cole. James Creswell. Uwana Ekanam. Rio Kuribayashi. Jia Xun Long. Carolyn Schutter. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biotechnology and Microbiology with a year in Europe, Orkney Banks. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biotechnology and Microbiology with a year in Industry, Oliver Wedgwood. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Ecology, Dodley Prosper. Hannah Alice Risser. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Genetics, Constance Elworthy. Maria Kancheva. Sol Johannes. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Genetics with a year in Europe, Francesc Rubert Castro. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Genetics with a year in Industry, Ki Choi Chan. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Molecular Cell Biology, Timi Adegabenya. Annabelle Cansdale. Yu Fang. Benedict Groves. Jamie Huckstep. Ian McAllister. Amy Mitchell. Emily Priest. Harry Saunderson. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Molecular Cell Biology with a year in industry, Oana Kubanyets. Yuan Sun.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Master of Science in International Humanitarian Affairs. Nurun Yiha. Mamdou Zabal. The degree of postgraduate diploma leading towards professional registration in nursing adult, Eva Bowdler. Ruby Cross. Kate Downing. Rachel Harris. Jessica Horgan. Janet Kerr. Rebecca Lee. Robert Minardi. Frederick G. Mao. Lonely Onslow. Jennifer Rajan. Jennifer Owen. Jennifer Rajan. No. Lucy Rouse. Louise Shum. Paula Visca. Francis Warren. Edabisi Whitfield. Holly Lyons. For the degree of postgraduate diploma in public health, Nidiha Dominicus Rodriguez. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Cognitive Behavioural Therapy applied to physical and mental health problems, Francesca Taylor-Smith. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Health and Social Care Practice, Katie Arrowsmith. Deborah Bays. Maria Branton. Pauline Dixon. Sarah Hillary. Jinsey Joseph. Andrew Leary. Jade Marshall. Claire Metcalf. Louisa Morley. Michelle Phillips. Emma Rome. Melanie Sisson. Alison Skelton. Sarah White. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Health and Social Care Practice, Child and Adolescent Mental Health, Emma Hughes. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Adult, Shauna O'Connor. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Learning Disability, Charlotte Gott.
It is my enormous pleasure to introduce Mamdou Zabal, our student orator, who will speak on behalf of the class of 2018. Our student orators have been invited to speak in recognition of their hard work on behalf of the student community and commitment to their studies. Our speakers have pursued the most enriching experience they could during their time at the University of York, as well as giving back to their community. On behalf of the class of 2018, I give you Mamdou Zabal.
Chancellor, professors, ladies and gentlemen, dear fellows, I am deeply honored to be here and now speaking on behalf of the graduating class of 2018. Today, I want to seize this opportunity of addressing you not only to congratulate those of you graduating today and their families for achieving this milestone, but also to share with you my reflection on what I've challenged and learned from as a University of York student who happened to live, studied, and worked in one of the most hazardous and volatile zones in the world for my day job as a humanitarian aid worker. Just a few weeks ago, I returned home from Helmand, Afghanistan, after finishing the longest mission I have ever been assigned to. I still recall writing my assignment under artillery's bangs and the noise of Apache helicopters hovering in the sky and shaking my window. I do also remember my inability to utter scripted word after witnessing a heartbreaking situation, emailing my supervisor seeking extension for my assignment. Going back to the university during my mid-level career was not an easy decision to make. I have to admit that I had my speculations and doubts on what academia has to offer after many years of field experience with humanitarian aid organizations. But now I can evidently say that one doesn't contradict the other, but rather complement it. Everything I learned on VLE, every conversation and each discussion with my tutors has enriched my understanding and practically applied in the field. Being a distant learning student, I haven't had the chance, like most of you, to live the fun part of the university life the normal way, or even to engage with the university's activities the Yorkshire way. However, I have tried to keep up the balance of living two parallel lives at the same time, as a student pursuing my MSc degree in International Humanitarian Affairs virtually, while working as a full-time humanitarian worker in Afghanistan's most violent and dangerous province. Throughout the past years, moving from mission to mission and from country to country, witnessing what I've witnessed, hearing and listening heart-rending stories while conducting hundreds of interviews with victims of conflict, including children, refugees, asylum seekers, and detainees. I have gradually learned that the world outside the university's walls is not perfect, not easy, and definitely not fair. I have also learned to appreciate and celebrate what I have, and I advise you to do so. You are privileged to be here. We're all privileged to be here, to study and to graduate from this great institution. This privilege gives us lots of opportunities, so dare to dream widely and seize those opportunities. Do your best with what you've got. With this degree in hand and the knowledge you have, pushed by passion and determination, is capable of taking you anywhere you want. Trust me, it does. Knowledge also comes with huge responsibilities. Responsibilities to hope, to help others, and to pursue dreams while doing our bit of making this world a better place. From what I experienced, and as cheesy as it sounds, yet nothing is more rewarding than helping others. I encourage you to think about those who never had a chance, never had an opportunity to get a decent education or even a decent life. Help those who are less privileged to help themselves. Step up when times are toughest. You will likely fail a few times, but keep going. This is part of the process. And most importantly, never ever give up. Finally, allow me to thank my family, especially my mom and my lovely wife, for being there for me all the time and around the clock. Also the PRDU and MIHA team, and in particular Dr. Janaka, for all the given support. Once again, congratulations, my fellow graduates, and best of luck.
Chancellor, distinguished guests, graduands, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. David Sachs, one of the world's foremost experts and key opinion leaders working on the disease leishmaniasis. Leishmaniasis is a parasitic disease that affects millions around the world, causing a range of diseases and symptoms that lead to economic hardship, social stigma, disfiguration, and the deaths of tens of thousands every year. It affects the poorest of the poor, contributing to the vicious circle of poverty and disease, and is often associated with conflict, as we are seeing today in places such as South Sudan, Syria, and across the Middle East. The University of York has invested heavily in leishmaniasis research through its Centre for Immunology and Infection, an example of our commitment to improving health and well-being in developing countries. It is therefore our pleasure to honour someone who has been the international role model for combining exceptional fundamental and clinical research with local training and capacity building. Dr. Sachs obtained his PhD from Harvard School of Public Health, followed by postdoctoral research with one of the UK's foremost immunologists, the late Ita Askenas, at the National Institute for Medical Research in London. He joined the Laboratory of Parasitic Diseases at the US National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in 1980, where he is today, to this day, head of the intracellular parasite biology section. His contributions to research and mentorship, both at home and in developing countries, have steered leishmaniasis research for over 3 decades and have been recognised by awards such as the Chalmers Medal of the Royal Society of Tropical Medicine, the Bailey Ashford Medal from the American Society of Tropical Medicine, and election to the Fellowship of the American Academy of Microbiology. His work defining how Leishmania parasites develop in their sandfly vector into human infective forms rewrote the textbook and influenced a generation of researchers. He continues to be a vociferous advocate of using natural transmission models of infection, using sandflies to understand this disease. Not confined to the ivory tower of working at the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Sachs has made major contributions to developing the research base in disease-endemic countries. He helped found a tropical medicine research centre in India, now over 10 years old and going strong, with beneficiaries that are too numerous to count. He was chair of the World Health Organization's Immunology and then Vaccine Steering Committees for over a decade, and more recently has helped establish sandfly research facilities in India to conduct critical research on disease transmission, supporting the government-led Leishmaniasis elimination campaign. In summary, Dr. Sachs has provided inspirational leadership in tackling a group of diseases that affects the lives of millions of people. His research has made a difference on a truly global scale. Conferring an honorary degree on Dr. Sachs sends a powerful signal that this university is rewarding leading scientists working at the interface between fundamental and translational research, and whose approach has helped inspire the development of cutting-edge biomedical research at York. Chancellor, for his outstanding contributions to the field of Leishmaniasis research and for promoting research and training in disease-endemic countries, I present Dr. David Lawrence Sachs for the honorary degree of Doctor of the University honoris causa.
Professor Kay, Chancellor, I'm humbled, deeply honored. I promise that this speech will be short and perspirational. I can't guarantee it'll be aspirational or inspirational. Actually, so it's warm here, but I have to say that this weather is This weather would be a lovely, temperate summer day in Washington, where I live, lest you think it is the heat that is responsible for the craziness that comes out of Washington these days. Sadly, it's all year round. But I digress. So years ago, I set off on a career to do research on tropical infectious diseases, fully confident that within even a short time I would develop tools, I would contribute to the development of tools that would better control these scourges, whether they be better drugs or vaccines or diagnostics. So 30 years on, none of that has come to pass. And I've had to content myself with the appreciation that I have at least contributed to a better understanding of why it is that these infectious agents, these parasites, are so difficult to control and to eliminate. So as Dylan said, there is no success like failure. But failure is no success at all. So throughout most of my career, I've had to struggle with this tension between being enthralled by this process of scientific discovery, being so privileged to be engaged in this pursuit of better understanding the biology of the microbial world, and yet at the same time sensing that there should be and must be something more to this endeavor, that these endeavors really should lead to something which is more tangible, is a more tangible benefit to to the world about us. So I think this sort of tension has been a good thing in my career, and I suspect you'll all go forward, and whatever career paths you choose, you'll experience this kind of tension. I can only suggest that you remain respectful of the goals that you've achieved, however modest, and always continue to be inspired and motivated by goals long ago imagined and not yet achieved. With that, I thank you and give you a very heartfelt congratulations on what you've achieved. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment I will draw formally these proceedings to a close, but before I do, one or two reflections. People often ask me what it's like to be up here shaking hands with the graduates as they progress across the podium, and I think there's only one emotion that really comes to mind, which is that it's an enormous privilege. I'm really quite humbled when I hear of those 3-year PhD research programs and the extraordinary disparity and diversity and the depth of what's being studied. You cannot help but be impressed by that at a time in our society where it's often believed that those under 30 have an attention span of no more than 30 seconds. That's been completely disproved on the empirical evidence before us today. But before I conclude, I would like to do one or two thank yous, first of all, to express our thanks to that fantastic a cappella choir in Nomine for the extraordinary way in which they wove those harmonies together in the two songs that they did for us. I'd like to thank Mamdou Zabal for a fantastic oration, an exceptionally moving oration, and thank you so much for the inspiration that you've given to the group today. I would like, thirdly, then, to invite you to express thanks to one particular group. Universities are not just buildings, they're not just sports facilities, they're not just libraries, they're not just laboratories, they are a community. And the community that makes it possible for our students to graduate today is the community of academic staff and support staff and everybody who works across the whole university, the people who supervise the PhDs, who oversee the master's programs, who teach across the university. So would you join me in expressing our thanks to the whole York staff community represented here today so ably by members of the academic community. Please, we owe you an enormous amount. Well, empirical evidence also shows that the sole point of a speech by the Chancellor at the end of a ceremony like this is to ensure that no graduate goes out into the world until they've been completely sedated. But we're going to make an exception on this occasion, because what I'm going to ask you to do in a moment is to be upstanding. I'm going to ask everybody then to applaud our graduating class. By the way, this is the most brilliant graduation class this year so far. And I'm going to invite you to share with me our pleasure in that. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding. I declare this congregation closed.